Yeah.
We'll go through that now. Right.
Morning, Neil.
Morning,
Happy birthday.
Well, it was actually my birthday on Monday. But someone bought me the card and it came in today. So I thought I'd put it up there to show everyone what the card was. So actually, I'm not 75, even though if I was 75, I wouldn't bloody be here now. Yeah, there you have it. Yeah. Okay. So what we're going to do is we'll quickly go through what we've got today. Obviously, we'll be doing a Zoom this afternoon, obviously on the ECB, but on mainly Christian Lagarde's speech at 1:30. So most of you, I said to you, your homework was to do the ECB, and obviously we said the PEPP. Hopefully, you know what it is, but it's all changed now. It's not so much the PEPP. You've got the Federal Reserve doing Operation Twist, and we've now got Christine Lagarde doing Operation Tweak. So obviously she's going to carry on with her PEPP, but obviously it's going to be tweaked from a January statement. So we'll be putting a January statement out there in a minute this morning, and also going through what lots of people said. I've got an email, and I'll send it out to you later on. Now, we'll quickly go over last night. The Fed passed the 1.9 trillion COVID relief bill that's been sent to Biden to sign by Friday. Obviously, chatting to our American friends yesterday, that they expect their checks by Sunday. And the rumours is going to be something like $1,300. However, the vote got passed again without a single Republican voting for it. Obviously, people remember the Senate as 50 to 49, and Kamala Harris voted. So again, it got passed by the smallest margin ever. Yeah. Okay. So just be aware of that. Again, yesterday, one of the reasons why the market rallied and obviously why the bonds dropped, CPI was 0.4. They were expecting 0.4, but I think Powell's warnings the week before, and obviously the yields on Thursday, Friday, people expected inflation to be higher, 0.5, 0.6, and it wasn't. So that basically deflated the yields. They came off, and obviously the Dow absolutely flew yesterday afternoon. What was weird yesterday afternoon, people like myself, I was short DAX, thinking I must be stopped out soon, had my stop in there, and DAX and the FTSE came off from 2:30 to 4:30. Obviously picked up later in the day, and obviously we've seen that come in this morning, followed through by a 0.3% rise this morning. Morning, Mrs. Yang. Yeah, coming in there. Obviously, the US yields held their losses after a lukewarm 10-year auction. The auction went okay, nothing special, but the tail was taken up. Obviously, today at the same time, we have the 30-year auction, which is 24 billion, and that comes out again at 6 o'clock. So wait for that to come out. That may be slightly different as it was last Thursday. Big thing on your homework today, we'll go through it, is the ECB, what they expect to do. Remember, the US one's COVID relief bill is 1.9 trillion. The ECB one, anyone has a guess how much their one is? Well, it's 1.85 trillion. Fairly a lot. Bond buying program. And she may extend that, words like that, we'll go through it later on, up to March 22. She was very reticent in January, and obviously things have changed. So we do think that when she talks at 1:30, she will change what her economic forecasts were in January of this year. Biden, again, is expected to give a prime time address. We were aware of this yesterday. We wondered what it was for. We thought it was about the 1.9 trillion address that May came in. But in reality, I think we realised today is the first year anniversary of lockdown. If you go back to this, we were all locked down on the 11th of March last year. Okay, that's
Neil,
the reason why.
Remind me of that.
Obviously, Janet Yellen has come out last night, and she's head of the Treasury, and she said she expects full employment by next year. Another positive step. What is full employment? 3.4%, 3.5%. Currently, non-farm payroll last week got us in at 6.3, 6.4. Bit of way to go yet. So at 12:45, we have the ECB meeting. Look, the ECB note about interest rates, and we've got in here ECB expects no change in rates. There's a 4% of Bloomberg surveys reckon there'll be a 10% cut this month. Nothing. Yeah. However, then therefore we go on to the 1:30. Christine Lagarde will speak, but just before that, we have the weekly jobless that comes out, and obviously we expect that to improve after the massive improvement on non-farm payroll last week. The JOLTS figures comes out at 3 o'clock. Now, quickly going on to what you want to do in your homework, if you've got time, we've got time. We've got 4 minutes for the opening. Will be whether there is any change in rates, we don't think so. Whether there is any change in QE, we don't think so. Christine Lagarde's comments during the press conference will be mainly important because of what she said last time. She used the words favourable conditions last time, and people were asking what are favourable conditions as such, because the figures coming out of the Europe haven't been fantastic, and whether to change them, and also whether the other thing she mentioned about accelerating PEP purchases. Yeah, that's hard to say at 7:50 in the morning. Okay, so the same thing going through with that. We'll go through that probably at 12:45. But remember, first of all, we'll get the news out at 12:45. Those of you who don't know what the ECB rates are should be shot, whether the deposit rates or whatever else. What will come out is that they won't come out and say they've raised rates or cut rates. They're obviously not going to raise rates, but it will come out what the rates currently are. So therefore, what you do if they do cut rates, what are you going to react on, and what are you going to trade? Two very important things you're going to learn. Are you going to trade the euro? If they cut rates, in theory, if they do cut rates, those of you done one-to-ones before, you're probably looking at the 2-year Shats or the Euribor. That will move the most, because it comes as quite a shock when you think only 4% expect to cut. Yeah, I mean it won't happen. It's probably about a 10 million to 1 shot. If they do raise rates, the market will go bananas. Yeah, but in theory, when Christine Lagarde speaks, it may not affect the indices. Yeah. And remember, the great thing about Christine Lagarde, when she speaks at 1:30, Wall Street doesn't open for another hour, and she'll be sat down and done by 2:30. Okay. Again, on the opening, it's been very hard on the openings this week. There's been no real clear-cut moves at 8 o'clock. Most of them have been probably about 8:10, 8:15. So basically, we've got most of the people who are coming into the market in the opening haven't really been flustered about getting that opening trade. So it's basically been, for those of us who have been trading, it's been a no trade. Those of you, if we look over to the shared screen now, I'm going to look at the DAX again because it seems fairly busier, but we've got everything up here. Everything's up roughly the same percentage-wise. The only thing is up a lot. I don't know, bank is there. Tech stocks have got been fashionable again. Obviously, we whacked in there overnight. GameStop. We have said to people leave it well alone. It dropped 40% in 15 minutes last night.
Wow.
The same thing. Let's get it right. If FTSE dropped 40%, you're looking at 3,000 ticks in 15 minutes. The market will be shut anyway because we've limit down, but it just doesn't happen. So hence we say when we look at our risk and our risk management and stuff, stocks like that we just do not trade. So hence the warning. I put it up there. How scary it is. It's great when you make 40%, but not very pleasant when we lose 40%. Because it'll blow your account for a couple of months, and God knows what it will do to you emotionally. So we're going to quick look at the DAX. We don't think very much. All we see in the morning when this news comes out, we're going to have a quick look at it. The 1:45 to 2 o'clock when DAX came in, we sort of rallied. What's that? 40 ticks. The China news that came out, not that special, but again, it's the same thing. While we're thinking the market's harder this week, people tend to make good money last week, and this week they struggled a bit. This is a really a popular bull market. It just grinds higher. Yeah, where we know bear markets are fierce, And last week people were going short, running their trades. It seems a long time ago when Powell spoke Thursday last week. Yeah. So again, we look at the opening, and it will be fast, but I don't really expect much to trade. We can look at the price action with scalping. Again, with scalping, we've just seen some selling coming onto the DAX. In a way, if we look at the DAX down here, anyway, round here at the candle here, 114.50, 35, 31, down here somewhere, the bottom here, we see that traffic down here, look at the market profile, and that may be where you might expect a bit of action. But we're not really expecting an 80, 90 tick move in the first 5 minutes of the DAX, which we were getting every day last week. Yeah, those of you looking at what happened yesterday as such, that DAX was stuck between 2:30 and 5 o'clock in a 30 tick range.
Didn't move yesterday, DAX and FTSE.
I was just saying to someone in the office this morning, Bianca, that it was very weird that I watched Dow rally 300 ticks yesterday afternoon, and I was short DAX, and I had a 30 tick stop, and it was like a waiting for Godot. I was waiting to be stopped out, so I couldn't even lose money. And I'm thinking to myself, had I been long DAX, which in theory you'd be thinking, Jesus Christ, why am I not making any money?
Yeah.
So the 30 tick stopping to make 60 ticks, and I didn't do either. And so I sat on it for, I think, 4 hours. And I think 7 o'clock last night, I just cut it. And I went, it's ridiculous.
Do you think it's because of all the ECB news today? It's probably stuck in range.
I think that's a very good comment to make, and possibly so. But I mean, normally the DAX, I mean, last week the DAX was a beast either way. Every day it moved 200-300 ticks and fast. And yesterday it just didn't do anything for 3-4 hours. And I said, if you look over to the market profile here, these letter prints are all half-hour prints. And you think, so, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, we were stuck between, basically, was it 114.50, 25, 114.500 to basically 41. It's less than a 20 tick range.
Yeah, that's nothing.
For the DAX. I mean, DAX in theory was doing that in the first 10 seconds of every morning trade. Yeah. So again, we haven't seen the market do that much. It's probably ticked off slightly, and a typical bull market, people are probably looking for stocks that people were long last night. But in theory, there was no reason, even though we've got a candle here that tells us it's come off from 8 o'clock, probably 20, 30 tick. To me, that wasn't a reason to scalp. If you did scalp it on the DAX, well done. There's a bit there, but the same thing on the DAX, when we're scalping at the moment, because the market's so tight, maybe 20 ticks is all there is in there. Yeah. So again, nothing to really worry the scoreboards this morning. Those of you, will send you the ECB link out. Obviously, James Fay of Archer has been very kind to send out their version of the ECB. And those of you who are on our mailing list, I'll send you that out. But again, work out when it's come out with something, that it's 1.8 trillion. So you write all these things down on your notepad, so you know that you expect to be questioned about the favourable conditions in the ECB, the accelerating PP purchases, and everyone in there is ahead of the game. What do you say? She might say that the inflation target for 2021 will be revised. Obviously, we all think inflation is going up, and therefore she may say the inflation target in 2022 will be revised. If she says that and raises it upwards, obviously we know that at the moment that's very bearish for bonds. Bonds and inflation is like kryptonite to inflation. Yeah, they hate the word inflation, and obviously the bond market, although inflation in Europe is less than America, I think Christy Lagarde said it's negative as such. If she changes those forecasts, be prepared for a move in those markets. Those of you who are trading with sim, we said before, obviously, if you mentioned inflation, you may want to put on your bond rates. We'll have a quick look in here. Those of you who have done the ones-to-ones, we just see the DAX rally here, up 26, everything else. The 10-year bonds are called German bonds, we see here. The 5 years are called German bubble. The 2 years are called Schatz. And the 3 months, if they do anything, interest rates are called Euribor. Yeah, but if you want to see our specialist, Imran, our specialist spread trader today, and he'll probably give us a zoom on how that works. But again, the same thing for a lot of retail traders is you've got to work out which contract you want to trade and what you think will be the most volatile or the most beneficial to you when she speaks. Yeah, we've got a choice of FX, we've got a choice of currencies. In theory, between 1:30 and when she speaks, there's no point trading any US contracts because they're all coming after 2:30. We had a few issues this week, especially in the morning. A lot of people said, "Oh, I bought Wall Street at 9 o'clock in the morning." Why?
Why?
Yeah, well, there we are. Yeah, those of us with slightly more experience, like Bianca, interjects very fast. the same thing. Trade what hours we've got ahead. There's no point trading FTSE at 3 in the morning because we were trading at the Asian markets. And remember, the Nikkei shut about half an hour ago. Okay.
Neil, there's also 30-year bond auction today, isn't it? US.
Yes, the 30-year bond auction we mentioned earlier, because you were obviously late attending. It's something weird that women are always late for meetings. I mean, you can nod if you want to. But, I mean, if it's between you and Megan,
Neil,
if
I can't believe
school,
you've said that.
Yeah, if you were at school, you'd be on the naughty step, the pair of you, no. But however, I've got 3 daughters, and then they don't attend at any time on time. If you've got a meeting if I've got a meeting, in theory, if I've got this meeting at 7:50, I'm going to tell Megan and back Bianca it starts at 7:30. I think that's the way to do it.
To be fair, today is because I ran late making my coffee.
That's a great excuse. Yeah, I was almost late because the 5 trees are blowing off the road our way. Right, again, as Bianca says, 8 o'clock, we have the 24 billion of treasury bonds that comes out at 8 o'clock. Again, everyone will be aware of that. It's the same thing. If it isn't taken up, they'll mention it in the tail wagging the dog. Obviously, yesterday's one, the tail wagged a bit. It wasn't a great auction, but a far better auction than the week before. So we'll go through it. Harry of a live score, he's going to do a Zoom about it. He always loves talking about auctions. And obviously, when he worked at Cargill, that's what he traded. Okay, so we'll come back on probably 1:25 to when Christian Lagarde sits down and talks. Yeah, but again, prepare yourself for what was said in the January statement. Remember the favourable conditions, accelerating PP purchases, and anything else that Christian Lagarde mentioned, because she will say it again. And if it suddenly moves, we expect the markets to move. And anything with inflation will probably move to bond markets more than the indices. Okay, all right. Good luck today. And remember,
just one other.
Go on. Just one other thing. It could be fairly quiet.
Yeah, no, just
today.
one small little thing. It's rollover in the States.
It's rollover in bonds today. I think the indices rolled another 2-3 weeks, isn't it? So if we're trading, I think German bonds, do they roll today or did they roll last? I think they roll today at 10 o'clock, isn't it? The Bunds, Bobble and Schatz will roll 10 to 10:30. So therefore we'll be trading the June contract. But most of these people here, Ray, are on the retail platform, so they've already rolled. I think they already say June.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the States. They're rolling over, most probably. Yeah.
Well, I'll ask Harry. If in doubt on here, Harry 71 is our man to go to, and he's in charge of live score. But
right, okay, yeah. Okay.
Valid point from Ray there. Yeah, okay, bear in mind the same thing. And also, those of you who watched yesterday on
and
a
happy
Wednesday,
birthday.
Yes, thank you. I'm getting closer to Ray's age now. Yeah. One other thing which Ray can, because obviously Ray traded in the stock exchange before it closed down in 1952. That every Wednesday, Ray can quickly go through it. We had the dividends coming at 4:30. So the last 3 weeks on the retail platforms at 4:30, we've seen a massive gap in prices when the dividend payouts come out. And I think yesterday it was 8 ticks. Last week I think it was 14 ticks, and I think the week before was 16 ticks. So Ray's the stock man. When it comes out, the spread platforms just go from trading at one price and it just drops 15 ticks. If you can explain to us that if you are short at those prices, you don't get the 14 ticks.
No.
Is that right, Ray? Yeah. Ray, can you hear us? I don't think you can hear us. But I think Bianca's there. The same thing. It comes out. Ray, can you hear us?
Yes. No. That's correct.
Yeah. So I mean, if you can go through it in a bit more detail, because it comes out every Wednesday, and it's quite apparent now, exactly at 4:30 or to the second, whatever the dividend is that week. Yeah. The retail platforms will price it in because they have to.
Yes.
So therefore, if you are short, yeah, and the market suddenly drops 15 ticks, you don't benefit those 15 ticks. So don't think you're being robbed by the platform.
Some platforms give you a dividend adjustment if you're they either take away a profit or a loss depending whether you're short or long. I've noticed on IG they do that.
They do it. I accept that, but I was just telling the people with a few people who were short, and it suddenly dropped 15 ticks, and they couldn't work out why their account hadn't made 750 quid. And they felt that IG had robbed them of 750 quid. It was quite funny to watch and listen to, because obviously we were aware what was going on and trying not to laugh. And obviously you have to, as Bianca says, whether you're long or short, it's not taken off your account, but it's not added to your account either. So remember, every Wednesday now at 4:30, we're getting this dividend to come in, and it's the same thing. As I said, we're trying to do on the retail platforms. The retail traders is get you up running to understand how the professional markets understand it. And as Bianca said, they should actually email you and warn you that's about to happen and how much that dividend is, because you will know. I think, am I right, Ray? You know what the dividend is the day before or a couple of days before.
They normally do it on a Sunday. They normally release it the week in advance. For IG specifically.
I think it's right, but I don't think it comes out until the Wednesday.
No, it does. They have a table and it tells you like all the indices. Yeah.
Okay, great. So there are Bianca's told us. Sorry, Ray, I'll keep losing you. Right. So there, Bianca's told and Ray told. So every Wednesday, be aware of that dividend movement, because normally it's about 10, 15 ticks, but obviously if it comes out of Sunday, you're aware of it. So
Neil,
yes.
You see what you said about the rollover in the America. What does that mean?
Well, when we trade futures contracts, we tend to trade months. So the main 4 months we trade in financial futures, and most of derivative contracts, apart from commodities, we trade the contracts March, June, September, and December. And as Ray pointed out, the March contract 2021 in government bonds expires today at 10:15. So
so it rolls
March
over into the new contract.
2021 dies at 10:15. On your retail platforms, you've already moved over. If you look at it, it'll probably say you're trading June. Yeah. If you trade to the commodity contracts, they trade every month: January, February, March, April, the 12 months of the year. So that's Ray said. Just be aware of that, because what happens is that for that 10, 15 minutes while they expire, you've got the option expiry sometimes and everything else that goes into it. So it can be a bit technical. So we keep it alone. On the indices, Ray and Bianca tell me otherwise. I think it's the last Thursday of the month. So with FTSE DAX, the rest of them, we've probably got another 2 weeks. 2 weeks today.
Till they roll over.
Till they roll over, and they'll roll over to June. And then obviously we'll get the old triple witching and everything else that goes on. Yeah, Ray. Sorry, Ray. You keep cutting out. So
I think it's because where I am is not a very good connection. So I apologise. But you're right. You've got triple witching hour next week as well. And
is it next week or the week after? Because remember, March is a 5-week month, isn't it?
Well, I mean, like I said, I believe it's next week. But
okay.
I'll have to double check and just get back to you.
Yeah, well, we learned something today. Bianca's been very kind to put on her dividend adjustments for the week to look into that, and thank you very much. Anyway, we'll rock on. Those of you who have signed up to it, there's a CME presentation today. I put it on there talking about the mini S&Ps and also the options. It's a lecture there in America. I'll send the link out again. Obviously, those of you who trade Wall Street, we tend to like S&Ps. And the CME obviously realised that the retail trader is up and coming, and it's the force of 2021. And therefore, I'd recommend, if you can get onto it, sign up to it and listen to it, especially on the options one. Everyone's keen to trade options, and what you trade in options, whether you buy the premium or sell the premium or whatever, it's worth listening to. Bianca, did you manage to sign up to it?
No, I'm on the page again. It keeps asking me for a login detail. I can't even submit like my request to join the webinar.
Imran, if you're there, can you help Bianca out? Because obviously she struggles massively with her coffee, and also she might struggle more signing up to the CME.
I'm taking technologically incompetent, I have to say.
No, not to worry. Just try and register using an alternate email address and you should be fine.
But I don't even have I don't have login details with CME. And
it's not actually a login. It's actually a registration. It just says login.
It says login. I can't actually do anything.
Oh no, but you don't actually need a login. When you're typing in the login, you're actually creating an account.
Oh, you create one.
Yeah,
Oh.
but like you don't go anywhere separately. It's just where the login details are. Just enter in your email and just throw in a password and it creates that account.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Matthew.
So here we have, we do have a competition for Wally of the Week, and Bianca's gone straight
thanks.
for the class. Right, okay, we'll cut it off there. We'll come back.
Thanks, everyone.
That's made my morning. Thank you, Bianca.
Neil.
We'll come back at 1:29, 1:28 for the ECB. Those of you who got one-to-ones, I'll be with you the next half hour or so. Okay.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, Neil.
Thank you.
Thanks, Neil.
Thanks. Cheers.